All right, Stevie, let's roll.
Are we ready?
I think so. I think we're a few minutes in. Let's roll.
You want my virtual hair? Oh gosh. See, I always look weird.
Yeah, the virtual thing doesn't work. You gotta have no hair like me and Don.
I gotta get this off. This isn't good.
Yeah. Well, it like tries to mirror your head. It doesn't work great. You're correct.
Doesn't work for me. It's weird.
Blame
Yeah.
you. All right, Sherry, you want to kick us off and introduce us? Where's Mikey on the call? You got to give Mikey the ability to talk since it's his program. So
Sorry. Let me,
You want me to launch, Steve?
yeah, go ahead, and then I'll introduce Mike as soon as you get going.
I'm a promoting
Okay.
Mike panelist. Sorry, I forgot about
There he is.
Back. So it's good to go now.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm Sharon Terhune, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Fidelity National Title. I'm very excited to be here today and have you all get to hear some great information and really work on your business today and learn some new strategies and techniques for what is going on today in the world of real estate. So very excited to introduce a friend and mentor of mine. Mr. Steve DeLaviaga worked with Fidelity for, gosh, I've known him for over 20 years in my career, but I got the pleasure of working with him over at Fidelity for the past 12 years or 15 years, something to that nature, right, Steve? But very, very excited to have him introduce our guest today and want to thank our good friends, Mike Certo and his team over at Fairway, which I know we're going to hear from Mike today, and for their partnership and really appreciate them including Fidelity National Title in this wonderful event today. And without further ado, Steve has trained and mentored and coached over thousands and thousands of sales folks across the country, and me personally, and would love to introduce the owner and CEO of Rise Consulting, Mr. Steve DeLaviaga.
Thank you. Lovely, Sharon. Awesome. Happy to have you. This is going to be so much fun. We want it to be interactive. We have a chat box. So as we go through this today, please feel free to put in a chat if you've got a question. We're going to be giving away some programs today on behalf of Mr. Mike Certo, who's our partner in this event today at Fairway Mortgage. Mikey's been a good friend and a great supporter of Best in Class. And then I was able to get the man, the myth, the legend, Master Cody Gibson, to come in and spend some time with us today. He's the widest and has the most areas in KELLER Williams expansion program, over 100 partners. He also has the best hair in all of real estate. I think that's an important point to make with Master Cody, so well done. But first, I want to do this because Mikey and I were talking earlier. Mike, let's have a little bit of an update because the whole forbearance, forgiveness, jumbo loans basically going away. Can you give a quick 3 to 4 minute mortgage update for us? All of our folks getting to lay the land there because the cancellations we see now, a lot of are because the rules have changed. If you could help us, that'd be great, Michael.
Yes, love to kind of clue everybody in on what's going on and what we're doing. Obviously, everything is stemming from COVID and COVID forcing.
Did we lose Mike?
I think we lost him.
I felt like we lost
There he
Mike.
is. He's on mute. Mike, you're on mute.
Hold on.
We can't see you either if you want to put your video on.
So I love Zoom tech. I want to be in Cody's studio. That looks pretty good.
There we go.
There you are.
You guys hear me now?
There he is.
That
Looking good.
Hey.
Jacket too. Look at you.
All right. That was about a 20-second delay. Sorry about that,
All
guys.
this corporate up top and then the shorts on the bottom, which I know you're wearing. I just don't even know why I roll. So go ahead. Now,
Gotcha. All right. So obviously, you know, everything in our industry is stemming from COVID. And let's rewind into the middle of March. Unemployment numbers, you know, let's start there. They start rolling in. You know, week one, we start to see 3 million people file for unemployment claims. Week two, you know, we start to see 6.6 million. Week three, we start to go into 6 million again. Week four, 5 million. To put this in scope for everybody on the call who doesn't follow unemployment economics, the highest 1 week unemployment number in U.S. history was back in 1982 with 700,000 people. So we're seeing 10 times weekly the unemployment numbers roll in. So fast forward, the government steps in and they say, hey, we have this great solution. It's called the CARE Act, right? We're going to dish out money. And hey, by the way, if you guys are having problems paying your mortgage, call your mortgage servicer and ask for forbearance. Now, we saw this in 2007, 2008, but the difference between then and now is you actually had to prove that you were in a hardship. Clients now can literally call their servicer and say, hey, I've been affected by COVID, I need a forbearance. And servicers, we're on the phone with US Bank last week, and in one day, US Bank got over 50,000 calls coming in one day for forbearance. How many times do you think, if you're a customer service level 1, that you can understand, that you can explain forbearance hundreds of times a day and get it across to a consumer on what forbearance is and what's going to happen when they come out of forbearance? So the government didn't check with our industry and say, hey guys, can you handle this amount of forbearance? You know, like, are you guys set up to handle this? They just said, hey, you know, forbearance for everybody, call your servicers. So that's the first level of problem that we had. The problem is servicers, when you go into forbearance and you're a client, still have to maintain those payments to the note holder for upwards of 12 months. Well, there's no provisions in the CARE Act to give servicers the liquidity to take this massive level of people going into forbearance and to continue making those payments. So servicers are the first level of people that raise their hand and say, hey, we can't keep doing this, guys. You know, there's no liquidity for us as a servicer to continue making these payments. So servicers were the first people to say, whoa, pause, time out. We want to stop buying servicing from lenders. You know, so that's our first issue. Fast forward, you know, the U.S. government, Fannie Freddie came out and said, okay, hey, we know now, you know, 4 weeks later, servicers are having a problem. Let's reduce it from 12 months to 4 months. That's great. Now, at least we have, you know, a third of the cost coming into the market, but that's still a major issue because there's no liquidity for servicers to be able to manage all this volume coming through the network. So the next level that happened was our warehouse banks. Warehouse is a temporary liquidity between the time a mortgage company funds a loan and we transfer that servicing into the secondary market. Our warehouse banks started going, whoa, hey, you know, like, we don't want to get stuck with a bunch of bad loans. You know, so the first level we saw was about a week ago, and that was Chase, who's kind of the Taj Mahal of warehouse banks, go, hey, time out. If we're going to allow a mortgagee to fund a loan, it's going to need to be a 700 credit score, 20% equity, 3 months of reserves, and oh, by the way, no FHA, VA, USDA, or bond. So now we have a faltering in jumbo, in bond or down payment assistance loans. And this is why you're getting so many emails as real estate agents where some lenders are going, hey, our credit scores are now a 700. Others are saying 680. Some are saying 640, you know, and some are saying, hey, look at me, I'm still doing a 580, but I don't know if I'm going to have a place to work here in a week from now. You know, so as a real estate agent, you're getting, you know, all of these emails across the network from all the lenders, you know, trying to tell you, hey, this is where we're currently at. But we have not seen the mortgage market move this fast since 07, 08. Now, of course, this is short term. This is going to be a 3 to 6 month hiccup, you know, but what we're seeing is everybody start to react to all the forbearances. You know, to take it a step further, Fannie and Freddie 3 days ago said, hey guys, if you deliver a loan to us in forbearance, you're going to take a 500 to 700 basis point haircut. That's 5% to 7% of the loan amount. So on a $400,000 loan, that's $20,000 to $28,000 that mortgagee has to write a check for. Now, if you're in the real estate industry and you're getting 3% on your commission, yet your company has to write a check for 5 to 7% if that client goes into forbearance, how long do you think your company can survive writing that type of check? So we're still seeing the mortgage environment, you know, be very volatile, you know, and the next level is cash outs. We saw Wells Fargo pull out of cash outs. We saw Chase pull out of cash outs. We've seen Flagstar pull out of cash outs, but this is the weekly occurrence that's going on. And this is why your emails look so crazy right now when you're getting all your lender updates.
Mike, real quick.
Are expecting things to settle down. It will be business to normal, but this is definitely something new that our industry is taking week by week by week.
Mike, two things that our realtors need to think about to make sure deals get held together, or there could be red flags where they got to get in front of it before it gets to the ninth inning. What are a couple of things on the lending side you want them to know about?
Great question. First of all, if you've got a listing out there, guys, and you get your pre-qualification, do 3 times the level of due diligence that you've done in the past. Call the lender, talk to them about their credit scores, make sure that they're not bottom rung credit, because those credit tiers are being cut left and right week to week. Number 2, if it is a down payment assistance transaction, I would be asking the lender for plan B. Can you provide a pre-qualification if your company decided to cut down payment assistance next week? Do they have a backup plan that could be executed? Number 3 is going to be the job, which is going to be the most important. We're doing 3 times the level of due diligence, talking to people about their employment situation. Are they deemed essential? Are their company going through layoffs? We're getting letters from human resources, making sure that if they're in an industry like the hospitality industry, that person is deemed essential to their job. The other thing is I'd be making sure that lender has an updated paycheck stub, because a lot of times what we're seeing is even if that client has a job, their hours are being cut. So that lender is using a 40-hour work week when truly, when that lender gets an updated paycheck stub in the middle of the transaction, the hours have been cut from 30, and no underwriter is going to give them the full 40 hours when they're only getting 30. So be diligent, protect your listings, make sure you've got a lender there. If you've got a buyer, same thing. If you don't know the lender, be extremely cautious. Right now, because of the margin calls in our industry, a lot of lenders, AKA Quicken, there's some other ones out there, they're not locking loans until they're clear to close. Can you imagine getting a rate quote at 3.25, the day you go under contract, and the day before you close, your lender calls you and says, hey, it's time to lock your loan? That 3.25 is not there anymore, but I can get you 3.625 with 2 points. That's happening. That's real life. We're hearing it every single day. So as a buyer's agent, be involved with your buyer. Make sure that if you don't know the lender, that they're getting a locked loan estimate. There's a box in that loan estimate. Make sure that you're protecting and being a watchdog for your client.
Well done, bro. I appreciate you, Mikey. Thank you. And thanks for your partnership today.
Yeah,
all right, Master Gibson, we're going to jump to you, big dog. I'm going to give you a quick intro. Almost 1,600 deals in 2019, over 100 what he terms as partners, which are agents in his network and in his team. #1 MAPS coach for KELLER Williams across the United States. My most requested Mastermind speaker, because he is one of the few people who has actually practiced and then done the things he's talked about at a level that very few have ever reached. So Cody, I love you, man. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. Where do you want to start?
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. By the way, Mike, I just wrote down, it's interesting, if you're willing to listen, there's always value. And you just shared 3 or 4 things that I'm going to share on my national call with just my own team in 107 different cities on Friday morning on the listing side. So thank you very much. That was big for me. So thank you.
Cool. Absolutely.
I hope everybody listening wrote those down. Those are good, real good stuff. I've been talking nonstop, and we're all working, we all feel like we're working twice as hard for, half the results right now. That's not, and you should feel that way right now. That's okay. But for everybody listening, that was something I hadn't heard I haven't heard it yet. So thank you. That was really solid.
Well done, brother. All right, CD, where do you want to start, man? You want to go into, I like a couple things like this. #1, you're still transacting. You're still putting deals in business. You're still making money. I think people sometimes realize, and there's this feeling and sense that people are trying to get back into the market. So maybe give us kind of what you're doing right now with transactions, and also what you're doing with your team to keep them investor ready for what we know is coming.
Well, I think there's a few steps, right? Like when this whole thing started, and we have lots of opinions, right? And first off, in our industry, it doesn't matter what your opinion around it is. Like when we were sliding into it, I was one of the ones that was like, this is totally being overdone. It's too much talk. It's not going to be a big deal. This is going to be, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to feel like Y2K, and it didn't matter. That did not happen. And so regardless if you're on this side of the fence, the media is this or this is that, it's irrelevant because now it's affected and impacted every single one of us. So now it's irrelevant what anyone's opinion is around it. It doesn't matter. You know, the first thing, I mean, the very first is just breathe and just know that you're going to be all right. Just know that you're going to walk through this. Think about all the times in your life that you have faced any type of adversity. I know I have. Steve, I know your stories. I know that you have. And for everybody listening, just pause for a second. So far in life, you have a 100% survival rate. Like, it seems tough. Like, I get it, man. Like, I mean, there's no pie in the sky for me. I was laying in bed the other night, worried. Like, I'm okay on reserves for a few months right now. I've got enough businesses out there that today, I mean, if this thing slides hard for 4 or 5 months, I'm really worried. And I'm worried about what gets shut down. I mean, I was going through in my mind, what would I shut down first? That's not fun. I mean, we've probably all had those nights. And I remember sitting there just going, got 100% survival rate so far. And so if you feel that way, you're okay. You're in the right spot. It's okay to feel that way. You just can't stay there. Remember, the best way to predict the future is to shape it. And so what can we do right now that begins to shape what that future looks like? I don't think you get to control it. That's why I say shape it. You get to shape it. You get to put something into it. This is like, you know, like, so for April, like our real estate business, Steve, right now we're matching March. And I cannot tell you on this side of April 1st, how happy I am that we're doing about the business we did in March. The problem is when I set a forecast last October, April was not supposed to match March. April was supposed to be almost double March, not quite, but like 70% more. And so on this side of it, it's always situational. And so goal setting is situational. And so let me take a step back for a second. Whatever goals you had for 2020, put them on ice. 2020 showed up and 2020 is going to tell you what your goals need to be. And your goal right now is to survive. Your goal right now is to be standing on the other side of this. Your secondary goal is to help anybody else around you that you can be standing. Your third goal is what could you be doing right now that pivots you or transitions you to something better. There's going to be somebody, Steve, you've got an amazing coaching program. You're going to be interviewing somebody a year from now or 2 years from now that's doing bazookas of business and they're going to be killing it. You're going to go, whoa, when did this happen? And they're going to go, dude, during COVID. During COVID of 2020, I did this, this, and this, and bam, here's where the business went. And so just remember that right now, this is the greatest transfer of wealth. This is the greatest transfer of power. This is the greatest transfer of local market knowledge and who people are listening to. And you think about who you're talking to right now. I want you to write this down. Who people are hearing today is going to dictate who they listen to tomorrow. Let me say it again. Who they're hearing from today dictates who they're listening to tomorrow. Somebody asked me to get on a webinar maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I mean, I live in the same webinar land that you're at. Like, it is all day, every day, right? And somebody asked, it was a week ago, and they said, Cody, I want you to come on here and talk about how to get buyers and sellers off the fence during COVID. I said, I'm not doing it. No, I'm not going to do it. I don't think we're that good. As an industry, I don't think we have that power. I mean, I'm no magician. Like, I mean, I can't. Like, it's just what it is. What I will talk about is what are the right questions to ask to uncover motivation today. But more importantly, I'm looking for the motivation in 4 months, 6 months, 8 months. Let's be clear. I'm not a home buyer today, and I'm not a home seller today because I don't have to be, which means I hit pause and go, whoa, let's wait and see how this looks in 30 days. And so if someone said, what's the right script to move Cody? There isn't one. I'm waiting right now. And a lot of your buyers and sellers are, and that doesn't make them bad. What it does mean, though, is that you may have to lead gen a little harder to find the ones who are willing right now. And the ones who weren't willing 3 months ago might be today. This is like December. Steve, you and I did a call maybe 3 weeks ago, and it was really good. You were awesome on it. And one of the comments we talked about was this is kind of like December 18th every day. Think about December 18th. In your market, it is not the day that all the buyers and sellers come out of the woodwork. December 18th is a little quiet as far as quantity, but it's loud as far as quality, which means the seller who's available on the 18th that says, show my home, they've got a high degree of motivation. The buyer that says, listen, I want to go see some homes instead of going Christmas shopping, that's a high degree of motivation. And so right now during COVID, for the majority of our markets, we've got less quantity of actual buyers and sellers, but the ones who exist, This is quality time. Like the ones that are there have a high degree of motivation. The problem that we have is discerning the difference between the two and asking the questions that get to where you need to be. The people who want to do business are doing it today. And in a lot of markets, like Steve, we did a study in our 107, and I don't remember the exact number, but it was like 65 or 60 of the markets. The escrows are within 10% of where they were. In other words, they haven't fallen off the map. But there's a realtor out there who would tell you nothing's being done. Well, that's not true for everybody. In other markets, though, we are down 20 or 30% in escrows. As far as showings, we're way down. In fact, one of the things, let me just say this real quick and then we'll take a breath. You taught me something, Steve. It was probably 2 years ago, and we use it today, and I tell people across the country about it. You taught me about looking at lockbox open rates. And not every MLS and not every area has this, but a lot of them do. And if you'll look at the lockbox open rates, that's one of your very first indicators of what's going to happen in the market in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Well, in the markets where we can track it, you can imagine it plummeted. However, the escrows and the offers didn't necessarily plummet. A lot of markets are only off by 5 or 10 or 15% for escrows. So it's not as bad as somebody might think.
It's not. And Cody, we talked a lot about this. This is important for folks. There's been 43 crises in the United States history, 43 in the last 200 years. 9/11, the Great Depression, the Great Recession, et cetera.
You've lived through like 30 of them.
You're lucky that people are on here. I'm trying to be compliantly, but I would normally tell you to go do something that wouldn't be nice, but I'm going to be nice and not say that. Here's the reality. We bounced back from all of them. We sold homes in all of them. We bounced back in all of them. And I think I can see this now, and I talk to my title partners in my 15 markets that operate in. The truth is cancellations now have started to go normalize the last 8 days, right? All of a sudden now pendings are up, showings are up. Things that are lead measures in activity to transactions are up. That's the reality of this. And so where you're going, Cody, is you would have taken the same month in April as March all day, April 1. You wouldn't have taken it Jan 1 because you'd have had this thing. So then our expectations has got to be set. So you've got this team of people. You have to keep motivated, engaged, et cetera. Walk me through what you're doing with those folks today to keep them understanding this is a gap. It's a gap that's going to rebound and change. What are they doing on that? Where's that at in your mind? What are you doing to help them?
A lot of it for me is be careful of the market of the moment. And what I mean by that is there's some plays that didn't work 30 days ago or 60 days ago. And I'm not sure they're going to work 60 days from today, but they do work right now. And so we're heavy on right now baby goals. We are not thinking October. We're not thinking December. I've got no idea. Some states are beginning to lift like some of the mandates. There's all kinds of talk about what that looks like. And if it slams back down, I don't know any of that. But what I do know is baby goals. And so we're telling our people to wake up. What is today? Today's day umpteen of quarantine. So whatever day on the calendar today actually exists to be, we'll call it Wednesday. Whatever the day is, like you wake up on Wednesday and go, who can I bring value to today? And I don't even think you think about tomorrow. You don't need, for everybody listening, you don't need long-term solutions for short-term problems. You need right now activities for short-term problems. And today, right now, beats right. So whatever it is that you're thinking of doing, let's say that you want to do a bunch of social media. By the way, Facebook will tell you that Facebook usage is up 210% right now. That makes perfect sense. You should be doing a ton of internet. You should be doing a ton of social media. It's an easy way. By the way, we buy a bunch of leads. Like we do everything, but one of the things we do is we buy leads on Facebook and we buy leads on Google. And our CPL, our cost per lead, Steve, is down 35%. We're paying less money for the lead because there's more eyeballs. And that's going to change too in 2 months. So don't get too used to it. But whatever it is that you do, just go run it. Just go put it in play right now. If you mess it up, it doesn't matter. This is the one period of time that any marketing idea, any activity you want to do, any script you want to try, this is your moment in time that as long as it's buffered by these two. So whatever you want to put in the middle, because it's time to go back to selling. If you watch Big Business went back to selling about 6 days or 8 days ago. So Nordstrom yesterday sent me an email and it had nothing to do with COVID. Remember when COVID hit, we got emails all day long about people's cleaning practices and how they were taking care of their business. Like, oh my gosh, take me off the list. Well, today, those big businesses are starting to make offers for response again. So Nordstrom sends me an email, doesn't say anything about COVID. It just says, here's 3 pairs of shoes based on your purchase history that you might like. When big business does that, the world says it's okay to sell again, which means for all my realtor friends, it is 100%, because we've been having to be a little sneaky the last 3 or 4 weeks under like care calls and all of that. You should still buffer it. And so here's the buffer. The beginning is how are you? And the end is what do you need? And I don't mean real estate. I mean like personal. What does your family need? What do you got? What can I help with? Who do you know that we could help? I've got a friend who's made an entire business the last 4 or 5 weeks out of calling his database and just saying, hey, do you know any senior citizens that we could help with their shopping? I've got a passion for it. And if you know one, tell me who they are. I'll go find them and I'll take care of their shopping. That's all they've done. That's the only play they've run for 4 weeks. And they've got more business today than they had going into COVID. And the only reason is because they're doing something that matters to the heart. Right now, during this period of time, you are only going to be judged on your heart. Are you doing something that helps? Can you tell a bunch of people about it? One of the smartest advice I ever had was to find a need in a market, go and fill the need, and then tell everybody about it. And that's what you're doing over and over and over. So the 2 buffers, how are you doing? Which is a personal question. At the end, what are your needs? Which is a personal question. Whatever you put in the middle, it's time to put real estate back into it. The easy way to do it is to tell a story. Here's someone that just got a great deal. Here's someone that just sold during COVID. What are your needs? Do you know someone who needs to move right now? What COVID didn't take away is the 3 Ds that cause real estate: death, divorce, the job. COVID didn't touch those 3 things. And those 3 things are alive and well today.
What I love about, I listened to your coaching call. Thanks for letting me do that with your group. And you said, after you ask, how are you shut up and let the consumer take it wherever they take it, right? You were very clear on not making it about what we talked about, but it's more the consumer leads you. They say, I'm doing okay. You know, my brother was diagnosed. Oh my gosh, how'd that go? So people have to understand, it's still about people do business with people they like. You got to build a relationship this time. And when that person goes to a place, go with them. Simple, right?
It's a likability contest. And you said that to me for years. Like, no matter how amazing you are at real estate, no matter how awesome your 29 bazillion point listing plan is, which you should have, regardless of all that cool stuff, if you're not liked by human beings, you're going to have an uphill battle in this. Like, it's a likability. Are you likable? Can you actually connect with people? So here's some tactical pieces, right? Like, we're always about tactics. Like, what are the 3 or 4 things that work right now? So here's one tactical thing that everybody who's listening should go and do, or hear it and adopt it or adapt it to what works for you. So I did an interview this morning with somebody in front of a few thousand people. And what he had done is he had started, as ridiculous as it sounds, he started a supper club in Atlanta. A supper club. So here's what he did. He started it with 0 people 15 days ago. Steve, today he has 1,150 people in the Facebook group. They're all local right there in North Atlanta. It's a supper club. He found, just hear the idea. This is something that probably would have been a lot harder to start 2 months ago, but it's a market of the moment right now. He found a couple of restaurants and said, listen, do you want it? And it was someone he had already went and bought food from. Like, it was his favorite pizza places where he started. And he got a bunch of discounts like on lasagna and pizza and whatever. And what he did was he put together this Facebook group, invited all of his local friends to it and said, hey, I know that Joe's Pizzeria is going to offer, $8 entrees instead of 12, blah, 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 blah. On the first night they did it, they had 80 meals. Do you realize how big that is to a restaurant today? That made that restaurateur's entire week, man. Today, they've got a restaurant, this is 2 weeks later. Today, they've got a restaurant that wouldn't even be open today, but the restaurant is open today only for this guy's supper club. And he gets to post it in his group. He's the only guy, if he was on this call right now, he'd be the only guy out of the 6 of us who woke up this morning whose database grew last night while he was asleep. Because people are inviting people into the group. He wakes up and goes, cool. Instead of saying, hey, let me send you one more email that you're not going to read anyway, he's got people beating the door down to get into the group. Now, his challenge is this, and if you're going to go and implement something like this today, and you should, by the way, you don't have 10 days to figure it out. You don't have 2 days to look at it. Just start one. Make it a little better tomorrow and a little better the next day. You can't beat somebody who doesn't stop, but you don't have time to research this. You don't have time to look. Just start one and see what happens. So his challenge, being 2 weeks in, right, is what are my tactics to give it legs after COVID? So he's got that challenge. But right now, this is a right now play. Everybody could go and do it. Another right now play that we're having all of our partners go and do is whatever their influences are, right? If you're in a major metro area, you're going to break this down by different sectors of business. If you're more rural, you're just going to do businesses. But let's say that we'll take Portland, Oregon, where all the cool people live like me. So if we take Portland, we're a metro enough area that we would take just restaurants. Go ahead.
Except in the winter where it rains every day. Continue.
Yeah, then we're out of here. Yeah, to hell with that. So we would take just restaurants. We would take just chiropractors. By the way, time out. Do you realize how shuttered the secondary medical market is? Chiropractors, out of business, man. Dentists, unless it's emergency dental, out of business. This is a massive thing, not a little thing. Like everyone hurts. So you could get 6 chiropractors together. So we'll just use chiropractors for an example. You go find 6 chiropractors in your market, which you may only know one of them, but you go find 6 of them and you say, listen, I'm going to host a mastermind for what chiropractors can do during COVID to pivot, shift, offer something that's virtual. It might be selling pills. It might be, you know what, we're going to do a 10-minute thing on how to take care of the adjustments at home that you can do on your own, whatever those things are, right? But here's what's important. You ask the chiro, who would you like to have on here with you? Now, all of a sudden, you're increasing your database size. But for my realtor friends who are hearing this, you don't need to know the answers. You don't know the answers. All you have to do is facilitate the dialogue. All you have to do is give the place for the conversation to be had. And you could run that with chiropractors. You could do one with just restaurants. You could do one with just coffee shops. I mean, you think think about auto body shops. A friend of mine sells, to your point about all the layoffs, a friend of mine's worked for 3M for 23 years, just got laid off after 23 years. And they sell like the clear bra, like all the things you put on cars. Like his sector for 3M is the automotive business. Well, do you realize how slow automotive shops are right now? Because no one's driving, no one's getting in accidents. And so all those body shops are completely shuttered. So you could go into your city and find 8 or 10 body shops and say, listen, let's do a call. And all we're going to do is talk about what you could do during this time. And that entire time you're providing value. Here's what's important. Who they're hearing from today dictates who they listen to tomorrow.
You know what's funny, my man? When you think about all of this right now, and we don't know, no one knows, no one's got a crystal ball, but you feel like, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, I'm feeling like you're feeling like we're coming out of it, in that now real estate is legitimately something we can talk about. And I would say in Arizona, which is where all of our folks are on the phone, I think we're closer in Arizona, definitely closer to beginning than not. And I feel like if you didn't like your house 8 weeks ago, staying in it for the last 6, 7 weeks, you don't like it anymore. If you didn't love your spouse maybe 7, 8 weeks ago, you don't love that anymore either. So there's going to be not just the need stuff, but the actual pent up boomerang stuff that's going to rebound. Is that where you're at with it?
Yeah, 100%. And like for Arizona, I mean, you guys, you're one of the states that marches to the beat of your own drum anyway. So, I mean, just look at how you choose to or not choose to acknowledge daylight savings time for the rest of us. You're like, hey, up yours, we're going to do what we want. And Arizona is amazing because of that. And so if everybody on here is in Arizona, you have an even cleaner path to go right back to selling. You could just be direct about it. You know, who do you know that wants to take advantage of this market right now? And here's the question. Who do you know that wants to take advantage of this? You don't even ask them if they want to. Who do they know that wants to? But you get real clear on it. And does this affect pricing? I don't know. I saw somebody online the other day, like if I could just hit pause for my industry, the real estate agent, I wish I could just hit pause on everybody getting on social media and saying, hey, everybody, this will not affect housing prices. I don't know if it'll affect housing prices or not. I got no idea. You don't know, so we shouldn't say it. What we can do is say what's happening today. Another play that works today that didn't work 2 months ago in Phoenix or in Arizona, what you should do every day is you should put online and then email out to your database a 24-hour update about real estate. If you did this 2 months ago, people would say, that's too much, don't do that, that's ridiculous. Today it works. Imagine you can go to a party tonight. By the way, none of us are going to a party tonight, but imagine you went to a party tonight. The second they heard you were in real estate, what would they absolutely ask you?
How's the market going? What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think is affected? What's my house? I have a rental. Would you sell it? It'd be
Yes.
all those questions.
And that, I mean, that's always the question we get, but it's usually a filler. Usually it's just small talk and it doesn't really matter. And of course, the right answer to that at the party is, why do you ask? But today, it's an actual real question. It's not a filler. Today, it's not just filling time. It's not just surface level. Today, it's actually, truthfully, what the hell is COVID doing to the real estate market? And so you can do something every day, every 24 hours, you go out there and you say, listen, here's how many new escrows, how many new listings, what the average price was, what's the average for, and this is what we watch real close as realtors, right? The list price versus the actual escrow price. Like, are we seeing it come down a little bit? You don't know that it's dipping until it's already dipped. So you watch those numbers, your market will actually pay attention to it. Now, 2 months from now or 4 months from now, whatever after COVID means, I don't know what that means, but whatever that means, you can't do a daily update anymore. It's too much, that's too often, no one's gonna watch. But right now, people actually want to see it. Right now, it actually matters. You should go and look, go and find the Airbnb owners, the VRBO owners. Now we're going to like our title partners and we're saying, listen, you know, can you help us with this? Like Sharon would be one of the people I would go to in Arizona. Can you help me pull like secondary housing markets or people that have their tax records go somewhere else? She could help you do all this. But what you do is you start making calls to them, because if you own an Airbnb or a VRBO, guess what's happened? Like, it has been shuttered. And so the question is, how are you doing? You don't need to ask them, do they want to sell? You just say, how are you doing right now? Is there anything that I can do for you? I understand you get your tax records somewhere else. I mean, Arizona, you've got so many people that are snowbirds, right? And so you go and you find those lists and you just say, how are you doing? Is there anything I can do for you right now? Do you need me to drive by your house? Do you need me to take a look? Is there anything you need?
This is important, everybody on the phone. Mike and Sharon, we're going to give everybody here a free 200 pull data point with names, phone numbers, email addresses of non-owner occupied. You just pick the zip code, city, area you want. We'll give you 200 free pulls through our RISE partner at Ivy Data. Okay. Yeah, so all you have to do is email Jeff. Why don't you shoot it on the chat? Just to give them Jeff, send it to Jeff, and Mike and I and Sharon will organize to get you sent out. You say, hey, I want 200 free pulls, all non-owner occupied in this zip code or multiple zip codes. And some of you that don't do non-owner occupieds, if you just want to do a circle prospecting around it, just give us a closing you had that you like in your brokerage or yourself. We'll give you the 200 most like homes around it that will have 88% cell phones, email addresses, when that home was sold. You have more data you need to. Data is the new dollar. And someone like Cody in our mastermind, he alludes to this all the time. If I can get the data and I can get on the phone, I can create opportunity. Whether it's future buyer, future seller, or now, you create opportunity. Correct?
I mean, you lead generate for two reasons. You lead generate because you might find a right now buyer or seller. But the real reason, and that's based on almost luck or timing, right? Like, the harder I work, the luckier I get. I'd rather be in the right place than know the answer. Like, whatever you want to say around it. Lead gen, like turning over rocks and you might find a sale. But the second reason you lead gen, I think about it having two hands. The real reason is you follow up with somebody later. And we've all heard the fortunes in the follow-up. We all understand that. But what you need to understand is that everything right now is COVID related. And so you have a COVID showing plan. You have a COVID marketing plan. You have a COVID listing plan. You have a COVID search plan. You have a COVID non-owner occupied plan. So nobody would say non-owner occupied. What you would say, because you're in Arizona, everybody knows snowbird. Like, Alaskans know snowbird, Arizonans know snowbird, and people in Florida. Everybody else goes, what the hell are you talking about? Maybe Michigan. But you would have a snowbird COVID plan. And what you do is you just simply attach that to everything. You think about what grabs headlines, right? Think about what grabs attention, what's on the headline. And every headline you look at today is going to mention COVID. So as the realtor, you do the same thing. Now, here's what you want. So you want a COVID marketing plan that someone like me, who's another realtor, goes, well, let me see your COVID marketing plan. And I look at it and I go, that looks kind of like your marketing plan before. You go, I know, but I didn't write it for you. I wrote it for all the buyers and sellers. And so you do it. And remember, the person who tells the story gets to shape the story. And if you're not doing it, then you're living in whatever storyline everybody else is using. And so you just start attaching COVID to everything. Now, it would change your showing plan. It would change your marketing plan. Like, on all of your active sellers, you got to go to all your active sellers and say, listen, here's my COVID marketing plan. Here's what we're doing. For the people who come on the market, here's what we're doing. You know it. I know it. Just start marketing the hell out of it.
Got it. All right. Now, just real quickly, everybody, we've got some folks. Please go ahead. If you've got something you want to ask as a question, please make sure you ask it so we make sure you get done and get what you need out of it. Cody, seller retention, which right now we've got a number of our folks that are going through that. If I've talked to 3 or 4 of my agents who are working through kind of the retention piece. What are you guys doing in your world to make that effective?
That's a great question. There's 3 things. Number 1, we are communicating so much that we're tired of hearing our own voice. We're saying the same thing so many times that it's like we are tired of saying it. If you're not tired of hearing your own words right now, you're not talking enough. You have to. You cannot over communicate in this market. So number 1, it's that. Number 2 is this. And I think about, like, one of my favorite books is The 4 Agreements. It's an old book, but it's one of my favorites, and it's written by Miguel Ruiz, R-U-I-Z. And the 4 agreements, I'll save you the 300 pages. The 4 agreements, and this is like when it comes to seller retention, these are absolutely applicable. Number 1, be impeccable with your word. If you say it, you got to do it. If you allude to it, you got to do it. Like, you're judged today on this to the nth degree. So number 1, be impeccable with your word. Number 2, don't take anything personal. You're going to have someone who comes to you that wants to come off the market during COVID. You're going to do the best you can to change that if it's the right thing for them. But at the end of the day, don't take it personal. There's some people that just say, listen, and we don't know, right? Which is why we don't judge, which is also why, side note, again, about my industry. I love my industry of real estate agents. But if I could wave a magic wand, I would do away with the jokes and I would do away with the funny memes online. I love them. Send them to me. I want to see them, but I think you're better than that. I think you have something better to say to your potential database than, I love the meme where the realtor's showing the house to 2 people and she goes, can you see yourself being quarantined here? I think it's hilarious. I like it, but you only have so much time. Steve, one of the things you taught me was that you've only got so much time when someone's scrolling past your post. And if you don't grab them, then whatever it is you were saying was worthless. And so I think you should take the jokes and just set them aside right now. You're better than that. So number 2, don't take anything personally. Number 3, don't make assumptions. So don't assume that they want to come off and don't assume that they don't. What we do know is this: we have to go back and reframe why they're on the market. If this person was listing or wanting to list before COVID, they've got a whole different issue than someone who since COVID said they want to list. We don't know why. So don't make any assumptions. Like, you just can't. Like, you can't. And it's a good rule anyway. Number 4 is just to do your best. And what I mean by doing your best is this: if you're having to jump this high to sell 10 homes a month, well, when COVID hit, you may have to now jump this high to sell 10 homes a month. And I just need you to get used to jumping. And you may have to work out a little bit harder. You may have to, this might be the time in your career that you look back and go, you know what? I woke up 2 hours earlier those days. I worked 2 hours later at night. This is the time. I mean, if you're not bleary-eyed and if you're not tired, you're not making anything happen in this market, because everybody is new. I was on a call the other day and someone goes, well, Cody, I understand you're saying all these things, but you have to remember I'm a new agent. And I kind of lost it. And I went, what the hell are you talking about? We are all new agents right now. Nobody has 10 years history of dealing with COVID. No one has empirical data. At best, we've lived through other shifts. But like you've said, Steve, this isn't like the other shifts. This is different. Nobody knows. Like, everybody today has the same amount of experience with this. We've got 30 days or 50 days, depending on where you are in the country. That's the experience that we have. So welcome to the club. We're all new.
I want to share with the folks, Cody and I were part of our Rise Mastermind about 3 weeks ago, and Kyle Whistle gave you and I a nugget that we both grabbed and loved. He said, listen, right now, people more than ever need knowledge and advice, not just information. Please don't send out the Cromford report or the MLS report and go, here are the stats for Maricopa County. Please don't do that unless you do that with a, hi, this is the feature, the stats. Here's the advantage to us in this market, what this data means, and interpret it. Then here's the benefit of that advantage in data now. For example, hi, here it is. Looks like we've got listing prices moving down a little bit. So if you are looking at being a buyer, the advantage is now you're going to be able to buy. The iBuyers are not buying right now in Arizona at a high level. So now those folks been beaten out with cash offers might have a greater opportunity. They're looking for advantage and benefits with the feature, not just the feature. And Kyle's open rate, Cody, what did he say? His video open rate was like 61% in his sphere, and he's got 52,000 people he sends it to. So when you grabbed it and you said, hey, you're right, knowledge, advice, advantage, benefit. We got to remember that on this call as we communicate out.
Here's how I remember that, gang. So if you want to take what Steve is saying and hit it out of the park, here's how you do it. Here's what I write. If this, then that. So the this part is the stats. The that part is my job. If this is what's happening, here's what that means. And so I always think, what's in it for me, right? Like the old radio station, WIFM, everyone listens to what's in it for me. And so what Steve is saying is you take the stats of Maricopa and you say, here's what that means. I predict blank, blank, and blank is easier today, harder today. Here's what it means to you. The golden goose of it is here's what my clients are doing. Here's what 2 of my sellers just did. You see, you could post online and you could say, I mean, here's what most realtors are doing. Well, most are doing nothing. The ones that are doing something, though, the majority of those are waving a flag saying, I'm still working, call me. Well, if this is garbage, that's right above garbage. That's just true. So here, I'm still working, call me. I'm essential. So is the guy at the gas station, Holmes. Let's be real about this. So this whole thing of call me or remember me, you're better than that. What you can do is this. You can tell any story about your client. You can say the Johnson family just scored a great deal during COVID, so excited for them. The Wallace family just sold their home and got 99% of asking price, yes, everybody, during COVID. This person just refied their rate with Fairway and they got blah, 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 blah. If you need help, you call me. I'm your guy for all of it. You become the connector to all of it. You can tell other people's story and you're always seen as the realtor, or you can tell people the realtor and they stop listening before you started. So the way I think of it is if this, then that. Now the other piece around around the video, right? You're gonna have to be video right now. If you're gonna do video, there's a couple of things. Number one, if you're gonna put any money into it, put it into lighting and sound. You don't need different cameras. I mean, you've got an iPhone. The one strange person still has an Android, but for the majority of us, like you can grab your phone and you can just run with me. Do you ever text people and you see the green bubble and you're like, are you kidding me right now? Come on with it. All right, anyway. And so regardless, it's always the Android user in the room that's like, well, that's not funny.
That's
Well, I know it's not funny to you because you have one. Yeah, you get it. Here's the thing. You could do everything on that. So if you're going to spend $100, I mean, right now, money's hard and it should be hard. And remember today, $1 saved is maybe $3 earned. Think about the power of money. Steve, you've lived, I mean, you're old enough to have lived through like back in the Great Depression of the 1920s. Like you remember what it looked like to save money. And like, you're the guy who still has like every rubber band.
HR inappropriate, but I'm going to call him an asshole. Now continue.
Yeah. Like Steve's got that rubber band ball in his pantry. You know what it looks like, right? They never threw anything away. Like all the bread ties, he's got a busload of them somewhere. They're buried in the backyard. By the way, do you realize how excited all the doomsday preppers are right now? They're like, I've been telling you people, I've been telling you. Yeah, I can't start because that's a slippery slope. If I have one extra loaf of bread, I might as well have 10 gallons of food in the backyard buried. Here's what I mean though. The video thing, you're going to have to get good at it. And what I mean is by getting good, I just need you to go do it. And someone goes, well, I don't like how I look on video. Listen, Scooter, you don't look any better in real life. Like this is what you have. Like my mom said I had a face for radio. This is what I got. And so here's my tips for using video because you're stuck with it. By the way, the world will never go back to the way it was. And I want to say this, I want to say it this way, make sure that I get it right. This is so good. Let me say this the way that I wrote it, right? What keeps us, what stifles creativity is our inability to see things outside of the way they are or were. In other words, for everybody hanging on saying, I can't wait for things to go back the way they were, they don't go back the way they were. We are forever different from this. Now, we're not going to know for 10 or 20 years what that different looks like. But there is a possibility, damn it, there's a possibility that our kids and their kids might not know what a handshake is. Now, you and I live in a country that we're only a generation or two from saying a nice firm handshake, right? But there's already countries that don't even acknowledge handshakes. They won't shake your hand, and it's not rude to them. They just don't shake hands. Trying to shake hands.
Used to be elbow bump, but I can do the fist bump. The elbow bump I'm not sure about. Hey, Cody, this is awesome. You're incredible. I want to make sure we answer all the questions. There's a question that Ty had about getting back into doing open houses. People are a little skittish still about doing open houses. What's your thoughts on that? Are you doing those? How are you coaching open houses?
We are. So we're in 22 different states. In some states we can, some states we can't. But in every state that we can, guys, so Ty, we are doing them in every state that we can. However, we've added the virtual piece. Now, if you're going to do the virtual piece, it's not the 1 to 4 open house. The virtual piece is, we're going to go live at this home at 1 p.m. today. But you want to use Facebook Live. You don't want to do Zoom and then drop the video in. And here's why. Facebook likes Facebook product. And so if you go live and it's, you don't turn on the camera for 3 hours and say, well, here we are for 3 hours. This is not a ride-along. You say, I'm going to go live at 1 o'clock, and you don't care who's on there. So a friend of mine, Laura Gillot, you should follow her. She sells 400 homes a year. Steve, you know her, in Southern Oregon, the middle of nowhere, man. She sells 400 homes a year. She's awesome. What she did, though, was she did a Zoom and then dropped the video in, had very little play. Did Facebook Live, only had 2 people watch while it was live, and she was a little bit like, that kind of sucks. But what she realized was by the end of the day, 400 people had watched it. And she said, I've never had an open house with 400 viewers. I don't care how they got there. So use Facebook Live, add that to it, and do it once. You don't need to do it 2 or 3 times. You can do it once. And then that way, the people who want to come virtually can and don't. I mean, you get my point. But everywhere that we can, we're doing it.
Well, Cody, also in our mastermind, I thought Nick Waldner did a really good job. Cody, what he just said about there's no more normal, it's only new normal, what's in front of us. Nick Waldner developed what he called, thanks to Cody, the COVID open house process, explains to his sellers, I'm going to hold your house. My will wear gloves. Only person who will touch box key is my agent. We have this light wrap, which down doorknobs. We have the house totally open, every curtain open, every closet open. Don't let anybody touch anything. I walk the group through. There is no touching or opening of doors. We then leave. I then wipe the lockbox key down. That's how we're going to do it to make sure your house is safe and that there's no issue. Any questions? And everyone will wear a mask that goes in and out. Now, all of a sudden, happy with that, felt safe. Go ahead.
You've got a marketing ploy right now that won't work in 2 or 3 months. Go find where you can get masks made. Some companies are doing it with a 250 minimum. I'm very close with one that if I can get the minimum down and the price down far enough, I'll tell Rise, and then Rise can push this out. It's just a vendor that I know, but we're working on one right now with our logo over here real small on the cheek, like something real small. But this is something that most states, like in Oregon where I live, even though we're lifting some of the restrictions, we're increasing some of the parameters around it. And so we're actually telling people, we've moved from you ought to think about a mask to you should wear one to if you're going to wear one. And so this is something for your real estate business. Every realtor should get these things printed up and start handing them out. And you can get them for $3 or $4 or $5. This is one of the plays that you go to like your best friend at Fairway or somewhere else and say, hey, can we do it together? Can we market it together? This is a play. I mean, if you handed out face masks a year ago to your database, they would have thought, what the hell are you doing? But today, you're saving their life. 2 different plays.
Well said. I do think, Ty, no matter what, you have to have an action plan that is marketable of it now, that's touching those things: safety, security, consistency, methodology, and you need some virtual. Learn, to Cody's point, that Zoom, although a great platform, is not the platform for open houses to live and breathe and get additional views. It's got to be on Facebook throughout.
If you insist on Zoom, then use the Zoom feature that plugs into Facebook Live. Either way, Facebook likes and rewards Facebook. And so use the Facebook Live, which is another point. Like right now, I don't know if this plays forever, but right now, like you should, I mean, people, I don't love reality TV, but people love reality TV or it wouldn't exist. This is where you say, hey, everybody, I'm going to go show some homes this afternoon. Yeah, we'll stay 6 feet apart. I'm going to go show some homes this afternoon. I'll let you know which one they like. Make it your own. This thing has play right now because of eyeballs. So be your own reality star.
Love it. Good.
Do you have anything else in there, Jeff, that we need to cover?
I was just asking about the end of lease expirations. I heard this is a very big farm right now, that absentee owners, but you know, we pulled some data yesterday for June, July, and August. In Arizona alone, there's 6,000 end of lease expirations happening over those 3 months. And people are trying to get into a home and not being in an apartment or not being in a lease and just trying to get into a home. Is that a farm you think is going to be is something that we should all be targeting coming out of this?
So, Jeff, that's incredibly brilliant. In Arizona, it's always the market of the moment. It's also the market of the geographical space. And so in Arizona, 100%. So here's what you'd want to do with that. You want to know all the rules. And so your state may or may not come up, like Oregon right now is working on, they've already had the tenant rescue plan. We did that immediately. We're a very liberal state. We're working on the landlord rescue plan. Like, is there any type of financing, any type of money, any type of help on that side? Whatever Arizona does or doesn't do, what I want to do as the realtor is be the medium of the information. I just want to be the bridge that says, here's what is available to you. Here's what's, and by the way, so when you're talking to the owners, what you want to do is tell them, here's what's available to your tenant. Like, the state's already doing this, here's the leniency, here's where they can or can't get in trouble. I mean, like in Oregon right now, as a landlord, I don't know what it is in Arizona, but as a landlord, I can't evict anybody.
Yeah.
Even if I wanted to, I couldn't. They could, I mean, and to Fairway's point, right? It doesn't even matter today if it's COVID related or not. Like, you can get the forbearance and you don't have to prove anything. All you got to do is whisper and say, it's COVID. And you got an okay for everything. So what you want to do is be sending it out. And then what you also want to do is you want to get that list, get that, work on that with the title and mortgage, and then just say, what are your needs? What can I help with? You don't have to make any assumptions. What are your needs? What can I help with? They're going to tell you.
So skill-wise, we've talked a lot about skills during time, because people that look back that just didn't take advantage of the time to skill and work on our business a little bit are going to regret it. What skills are people working on skills to get better as we?
We're going to have to get good at pricing again. Like, the market doesn't bail us out anymore. Not right now. Not in the near future. Like, we may have to, blow off the dust from those old scripts about maybe listing your home for less than you intended. Like, maybe having to readjust or lower those pricings. You might have to, and it pains me to even whisper it, but depending on what happens, like, you might have short sale conversations again. Someone's going to. It's going to happen. Like, we're not exempt from that. I mean, the world, and definitely our country, was already headed towards some type of recession. Lots of ideas about what that means or doesn't mean. And I'm no economist, so I don't know, and even the economists don't know, but we were already headed towards something. Every 12 years or so, something drastic happens. It's just always something different. And someone goes, well, this isn't like last time. And it's like, well, it's never like last time. So you're going to have to get good at those scripts and dialogues again of maybe bringing in money. You're going to have to get good at those scripts and dialogues again of, hey, if you don't like today's price, you might not like the 6 month from now price even less. And you may have to be able to say that to someone's face and be able to say it with care and say it with candor. And so we're having to be more like, we can't pander to it. Like, we're not able today to list homes and say, we'll try that price out. We're having to protect it and say, that's going to be a waste of your time. And frankly, you're going to hurt yourself. Now, the ability to say that to somebody and pull it off well, that just comes from time. You got to say it again and again and again. This is where you make 10 calls to get what 2 calls used to make you. This is where you send out 200 text messages to get what 2 text messages used to get you, because you have to look harder, because you have half the country. I mean, even the polls that say, if your state reopens, will you get on an airplane? Even if your state reopens and says you can go to a concert, would you go to one? A big majority of the people in your database are telling those polls, I ain't going. I'm not going to go to it. You can tell me the movie theater's open. I'm not going. And it is not your place to say they're right or wrong. It's your place to serve them with whatever they want. And so we're having to get really good at those scripts again and say, what are your needs? What can I help you with? But you better be making more calls. Like, this is where you have to lead gen like you've never lead genned before. I mean, this is more work for this is more effort for half the result.
You heard our mastermind group. The answer rates are up 82% right now.
Everybody says hello. Yes, because they're all available. Everybody says hello. That's been one of the greatest blessings of this, is that they're willing to talk to you. Like, they're willing to have a conversation. They want to. Don't squander that, because that only, if you made the comment, that only lasts for a certain amount of time. Don't squander it.
I will say this, and the other thing, we all got it, but we don't do it necessarily. You got to get in the video game. We have to get in the video game. Just get over it. And easy to do that, guy. Every morning when you get up, Facebook has who the birthdays are of the day. Let's get practiced at this. Take the days, don't put on their wall where 400 people do it. They don't read any of it. Take 8 to 15 seconds. Take your phone out, hit Messenger, hit a video on Messenger. And Cody, thinking of you, brother. Happy birthday, a year old. You don't look a day, brother. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're feeling well. Thank you. Get used to just that and sending it, because we get viewed and get comfortable. Okay.
Yeah. No one likes the way they look on video, and no one likes the way they sound on video. So don't like my rules around that is it's one shot and I send it. And the reason it's one shot is that I'm like you. And if I look at it first, I'm never happy. I'm like, nope, I could have done that better. Nope, I could have done this better. I look at it like I do real life. Like I go to a seller's home to do a listing presentation. And if I mess it up, I can't say, wait, time out. Let me walk out and redo this. I totally screwed this up. I don't get to do that. And I mess them up, and sometimes I don't. And so with video, I look at it as real life. It's one shot and I send it. And you'll get good at it. It's just a practice issue.
Got it. Okay. Mikey, you have any questions? You have any questions for Cody real quick? I know we were talking earlier today about it.
A couple adds to the conversation. I really like what Cody's saying about, hey, how are you? And then be quiet. But there's going to be so many keys and so many different ways those conversations can go. If the client's lost their job, be a watchdog for them. Forbearance, make sure they understand that they're calling their servicer. It's not a free ride. What's going to happen after forbearance? If you guys need information about, the crisis waterfall, right? What happens after forbearance, get a hold of me. I'll give you a Fairway. Hey, these are the options. But so many people out there today think it's, oh, hey, I don't have to pay my mortgage. But what happens after forbearance, right? You guys are the front line of that. You guys have to be able to tell your clients what questions to ask to their servicers. And, another value add, people need to save money right now. Rates are at all-time lows. We're dealing with rates in the low 3% range on 30-year fixed. I mean, the average consumer that we're talking to, we're shaving 10 to 20% off their mortgage. Those are after-tax dollars. As a real estate agent, what a better conversation when it goes, man, you know what? It's just tough right now. I'm still working, I'm still on my job, but just making ends meet right now. Hey, have you talked to somebody about, refinancing your house? Is your rate over 4%? Because my clients have been getting rates in the low 3s. So there's definitely some value adds as a real estate agent. You don't need to be somebody in my industry, in the mortgage industry, to talk intelligently about forbearance, if they have lost their job. And, one of the things I've been talking to my partners about is, hey, those clients that we put into homes 2 to 3 years ago, and they have very low down payments, and they have lost their jobs. Those people don't have a huge piggy bank. The biggest piggy bank is the equity in their home. So the more people you reach out to, especially those clients that we put into a home 2-3 years ago, those are opportunities that are going to surface that they actually need to sell their home to unlock the equity to make it through the next 6 to 12 months. So be in tune, when you're listening, be an active listener, listen for those opportunities where you can add value. Cody, for you, amazing job. If I'm an agent sitting here listening to this conversation today, and I had to do 3 things every single day as a real estate agent to make it through, quickly tell me, what are those 3 things? What can I do to protect my business and prepare for the end of COVID and when we're all coming out of this on the other end?
Here's the 3 that I would say. Number 1, take care of yourself right now. You can't take care of others if you don't take care of yourself. And that includes keeping as much of your pre-COVID schedule as you can. If you were a 10 o'clock in bed guy before COVID, be a 10 o'clock in bed guy right now. Be careful with the habits that you take on right now, because they'll be tough to jettison after this. If you were a 1 glass of wine guy before, stay a 1 glass of wine guy. This isn't a 3-month vacation, because you may never recover from that. So first is that, put the oxygen mask on first. Number 2, tactical. What you do is you wake up in the morning and you make contacts until you set appointments that you need for your business. Depending on the size of your business, you might need 1 appointment or 6. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, you wake up and you make contacts until you hit it. and you don't get to stop until you're done. And if that's 10 contacts or 200, it's irrelevant. Your business doesn't care about COVID. And your business doesn't care about what's happening in the market. Your business cares only about the goals of the business. The business doesn't have a heart. It has goals. It has a budget. It has a P&L. The third piece is this. If you haven't talked to every single person in your database, your phone, the Facebook database, your CRM, wherever you have these things, if you haven't talked to every single one about refinancing their home, you're lazy or selfish. It's just a conversation. Do you need any help with this? Can I help you with this? My clients, the Wallace family, just saved $200 a month. Do you want to look at it? I'll connect you with the right person. If you haven't talked to every single person in your database who owns a home about how to get forbearance on their home and what it means to them, and be able to offer and say, listen, if you want me to read the fine print with you, send it to me. I'll tell you what I would do if I were in your shoes. And I'm no expert, but I deal with homes every day. Every one of your clients, the people that are like, this is ridiculous, but we started going back through some of our buyers who didn't even own a home yet, but they own vehicles. A lot of lenders are offering forbearance on vehicle loans. And again, it's not my job to give the advice. It's my job to see, here's where the information is. And all I want to do, you ever heard the term, don't shoot the messenger? Well, people also praise the messenger if it's good news. If I can help someone, it's as good as if I did it myself. My job is simply to be the bearer of good news.
I love this. And this is important, everybody. Mike, you alluded to it. Different than 08, 09 is we have equity now. There is equity in the market. People, to Mike's point, are going to look, where can I get money to give me enough runway that I can make it to where I need to make it to? And if you're in Arizona and you bought any time from 10 until really 18, you've made money on your property. Now, the first ones in that fight will be the ones that get the most equity generally. That's the reality, right? So make sure you're thinking about it today. Your job, our job, is to be telling people, hey, if you need runway, let me at least see what your equity is in your property today. Get off the what's the home worth thing. Just say, what's the equity in your property that I can look at and see if we can realize some of that. That mindset sounds better, sounds different. What we say is going to matter more than ever. We've killed that, beat that to death. Let me tell you what your home's worth. Let me see what the equity is we can get out of this for you so you and your family know what your runway looks like. Make sense? All right, CG, do this for me. Now, your people in your team, your group, are you doing any recruiting right now? Are you looking for talent? Because I know you're one of our best recruiters in the network. What are you doing now with it?
The talent pool right now is incredible. And the reason is people they're losing their jobs. And so it's loosening up the talent pool. So think about that restaurant in your market that maybe doesn't reopen. Maybe they can't. Like there's going to be some restaurant who doesn't make it. And as sad as that might be, there's somebody else who's always had a dream to have a restaurant. They're like, oh my gosh, this amazing space just opened up. So the old adage of when one door closes, one opens, that's what this looks like. And so, yeah, we're recruiting like crazy. So for my teams, my friends that run teams, you need to hear me on this. The tools and the systems and the models and the structure that your team provided yesterday that was important is today become vital. And so the value of what you provided might have been here yesterday, it's here tomorrow. And what that means is you've got opportunity right now where people are going to look up. And if the market shifts a little bit, for my team friends that run teams, we want the market to shift. And part of it is to show all the realtors. I mean, when the market is going crazy and it's easy, no offense to my friends, but the reality is even in an easy market, there's going to be some realtor who finds a way to stay broke. So they always find a way. But in an easy market, it's everyone gets to be an expert. Everyone gets to be amazing, a genius, because everything works. As soon as it stumbles even just a little bit, remember crisis, like in the Chinese symbol, crisis is danger and opportunity together, which means, yeah, you got some danger out there, be safe, but you have some opportunity too. So we're recruiting like crazy, but it looks different. So it's things like, take a look at what our COVID team plan is. This might be the time that you can go to your team like a broker would and change the economic structure for a short period of time. You get to almost get away with anything right now due to COVID. So take advantage of it. Recruit like crazy. You'll have people who wouldn't have even talked to you 6 months ago that are happy to talk to you today.
Agreed. Got it. A couple of things to think about, you guys, during this process as well. I would say to you, and a lot of our folks have done this, put a line in your mind where you're going to start back trying to, and whether you have to move or not, we don't know, but say, okay, by May 11th, I want to be meeting people responsibly. By May 11th, I want to be holding open houses. I want to be talking more about real estate. Now, you'll know on the 10th or 9th if that's not feasible, and you can move it back. But we got to start putting a line in the sand. I'm starting to travel. I've got 2 flights booked, one to Georgia, one to Nevada on the 11th. Now, if I can't because the world is still awkward or people aren't comfortable, then I won't. But I want to start to think we got to start putting lines in the sand. And I know, Cody, with your guys, you've become, I've listened to you now, you've become tougher as you feel like this has gotten closer to more reality with what we have to be doing now in terms of business, not just personal.
Smart. Yeah, we're just smarter with it. Yep. And the thing is, like, there's some people will say, hey, what do you think about this or this? I don't know. I'm not sure it's going to be my choice. Like, Steve, like those 2 flights that you have, I'm not sure they're going to ultimately be your choice. Correct. Something will happen and you'll go or you won't, but it doesn't matter. You're intending to. So you have to start something somewhere.
Agreed. All right. And we got like 10 minutes left. Anything you want folks to know about before we go? And then Mike, we'll have you kind of wrap up as well. But Cody, anything you think about, and I'll have my quick summary of some giveaways we're doing, but what do you want people to leave here? If you're leaving here and you're on this call, you're like, hey, here's what we got to think about. Where do you want to leave them with?
I would do a couple things. One, I think this is the time, this is the easy time, kind of like if someone's been home from work for 2 months, and let's say they work for a big old corporate company and they were just told, go home and work from home or not, we're going to pay you anyway. Plenty of people have lived that life. What they've been doing is they've been doing like this amazing home remodeling project they've always wanted to do and didn't have time to do. As a real estate agent, that's what you're doing right now. Only it's not a home remodeling project, it's a business remodeling project. That database that you've been saying for years, if you just had time, you would do. If you don't come out of COVID with a database that's rocking, find a different excuse, because that one's no good. Like, it has been proven time wasn't your challenge because now you've got it. And so all those things that you wanted to put together in your business, like, this is the time that the world says stop. The other thing is this, and it's outside of the real estate side. Just know that there's two truths happening all the time. There's a parallel. So I've got 3 kids, and I'll talk about my youngest one, Emery, who's 8. In 2033, and she's in college, I'll be 52. If she's in college and they say, hey, let's talk about and study the great COVID of 2020. A parent who's a parent right now, and we all became homeschool teachers overnight, we all be like, right? And all of a sudden for us, we go, yeah, I remember COVID. Man, the restaurants were shut down. I couldn't leave my house. It was this, I had to wear a mask. I had to be a homeschool teacher. Like, probably like that story. Well, my little Emery will go, yeah, I remember COVID. I saw my parents more than I'd ever seen them before. You know what? We got down on the ground and we played games every day. We did a puzzle that we never had time to do before this. We had dinner together every freaking night. The parent was like, we had dinner together every night. The child's like, we got to sit down and have dinner together every night. I got a story at night. I wasn't tired in the morning because I wasn't racing off to school. It was the greatest 2 months of my life because I had a family for those 2 months. So just know that whatever your truth is, there's another one playing at the same time. It's never just your own story. And it wasn't the event got canceled. The flights got delayed. The church meeting on Sunday now has to be digital, blah, 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 blah. The Coachella that you were going to go to is now going to be in the fall. All that stuff got put on ice. You know what wasn't canceled? Your dreams. You know, your goals weren't canceled. Your family wasn't put on hold. The goals that you have aren't. Let's just keep perspective around that. You don't need a long-term problem you don't need a long-term solution for a short-term problem. And you can't become who you want to be tomorrow if all you're focused on is who you were yesterday.
That is so good, man. You are so good. Mikey, before I wrap up, you want to say anything real quick before I kind of summarize and wrap up for folks?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks for jumping on this call. And Cody, always a pleasure. So much good information for all our crew here in Arizona. For all you agents, if your lender's too busy, it's a refi just haven out there. We're maintaining probably a 75 to 80% purchase book of business right now. I am on Zoom calls every single day, educating real estate agents, talking to you guys about the changes in the market. And if you guys want me to jump on a Zoom call with your team, with you guys, I am 100% dedicated, to getting good information out to you guys. What's going on? How do you protect your buyers? How do you protect your sellers? What's going on with the financial markets? I do lunch and learns, guys. I can't tell you how many times I've had Uber Eats delivered to real estate agents in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So if you want to put your team on a call, lunch is on me. I'll buy your team lunch. We'll jump on a call. We have some fun on it. We talk some economics on it. We talk what's going on in lending, and we'll jump off the call. So if you guys want to set that up, completely open to it. I'm all yours. We're here to help you guys through this transition. If I can generate business for you guys, I do a ton of lead gen. We do everything that we can for our partnerships to elevate your game and get you guys through this crisis. So,
appreciate it. Mikey, thank you. In summary, please take advantage of the database audit that Mike and Sharon coordinated through Ivy with us. You get 200 free pulls. You get phone numbers. Why Cody's so big on the phone is the fastest, cheapest way to engage somebody with answer rates that are now up 82%. Take advantage. If you don't have a farm area, just go, I want to just do 200 houses around this area, or I want to do snowbird / non-owner occupied, whatever you want. All you have to do is shoot it over to Jeff, who's put his email out on this chat thing. Mike and Sharon, anybody you touch here, we'll get it coordinated for you. Copy folks so they know, but please take advantage of it, because I'm a little goofy this way. And Cody and I laughed earlier. I love where this market's going. I'm so happy it's going to get more real. I'm really tired of lip syncers thinking they're rock stars, because the market has done that for literally 10 years. And now it's going to be a little more real. Awesome. Let's get in the game together with the real estate practitioners, team leaders, business people. We're going to have to be entrepreneurs now. We're going to have to be business people now. We're going to have to be data bank experts / database. It's going to matter now more than ever. And that's why getting someone like who I consider to be probably the premier real estate knowledge-based speaker in Cody Gibson to come and spend some time with us today for an hour and a half. Cody, you are my brother. I love you, and you're awesome. And thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. Please take advantage of the opportunity. Mike, Sharon, thanks as always for being great. You guys take care of yourselves. Be healthy, be happy, and be safe. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Cody. Awesome.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
guys.